This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
Minneapolis, it's time to put on your baggy sweatshirt and get ready to laugh. Comedy icon Adam Sandler is bringing his Your Best Friend tour to the XL Energy Center on October 22nd. Don't miss out on brand new jokes, classic bits, and maybe even a song or two. Tickets are on sale now. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Well, here's what I tell you, having done Covenant catch-ups with a myriad people as the walkthrough and the press conferences and the practices are about to begin with the Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings. The PEN, as we call it in the business, the Patriots Entertainment Network, has set up a camera that might go for $45,000 minimum. Yeah. I mean, that's about one of the greatest video/picture-taking cameras you're ever going to see. And they are going to be filming a certain player during the joint practices for a mic'd up series they're going to be doing. It's going to be a series, so it's not like this player who they're miking up. You're going to be able to find it tonight at patriots.com. But it sounds really cool what they're doing. The player has some familiarity to the Minnesota fan base, so we are now sharing the perch with the PEN, the Patriots Entertainment Network.
This is an ordeal in front of us right here.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen VEN, V-E-N, Vikings Entertainment Network cameras and tripods and setups for years. Can't say I've ever seen a Bigfoot-like contraption that is in front of us for their mic'd up series, which begins at a website near you, probably in the very near future. Secondly, just did a Covenant catch-up with their wide receivers coach, who's behind us now, Todd Downing from Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
Yes.
Very, very accomplished quarterback at Eden Prairie High School, played at the University of Minnesota. And then it's a wonderful rags to riches, so to speak, story where Todd worked with the Vikings Public Relations Department under Time for Two More. And one of his jobs was picking up Mike Tice from the airport as he flew in from Seattle, maybe in 2000 or 2001, maybe 99, something like that. But on the drive in traffic, see, people complain about traffic, but this type of traffic actually aided Patriots wide receivers coach Todd Downing, because he and Coach Tice went to talking offense for about 30, 35 minutes. Well, that was the last year Todd Downing worked in the public relations department. He became his offensive quality control coach the same year I started calling Vikings games in 2002. So Todd was new, I was new, and we became good friends then.
Yeah.
Subsequently, he was the quarterbacks coach for Matthew Stafford, quarterbacks coach for Derek Carr, offensive coordinator at one point for the Oakland Raiders. He ended up with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. He was with Linehan and the St. Louis Rams. He's been from Boston to Denver and every town in between.
Was he with the Jets recently as well?
With the Jets. He was passing game coordinator / assistant quarterbacks coach for A-Raj.
Yeah, he did get to work with 12, didn't he?
Yeah, and they were on Hard Knocks last year, and Todd was focused prominently leading a quarterback meeting room because Rodgers was in there and playing games with the video and the film and stuff, and he did a really good job. So always great to see people with whom we're quite familiar.
I like that, too, with Todd, because and we've experienced it as with being close to the Vikings and such. Like the idea of nepotism, and it's a small fraternity and all of that. And I look at a guy like Todd, who started at the complete freaking bottom of things, and he's working his way through things with Tice. He's working with things. I can't remember what year he was with the Vikings when he moved on. Did he enter into chilly territory?
Vikings 02 to 06, 05? 05. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so then, but I mean, you look at the list, like he had to find his way through merit to get all of these jobs
Big
and
time.
make what has now been a north of 20-year career. It's just impressive. And he's not a head coach, so there's not necessarily the glitzy cachet and the name recognizability that you get from him. But there's a ton of people like Todd in this league that started at the bottom, washing the toilets, so to speak, and found their way into the penthouse via coaching staff opportunity. So, yeah, and now, as places are filling up here, you got the Binocs on. We're just waiting.
Look at this.
I need the players to come out here and start the process and start the party.
The guy in the white bucket walking across the field, is that Lavelle? No, that's Romeo Cornell. In fact, let's call him Romeo Lavelle.
Well, I was wondering when this one gentleman here was walking by near side, I thought you were going to go, "Hey, Flo! Hey, Flo!"
Yeah, right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a Patriots sweatshirt.
Yeah,
My bad.
I know that's Mike Vrabel. How could I possibly make that mistake? When we return, we believe former Minnesota Vikings head coach Brad Childres will join the chat, as the kids say, from joint practices between the Vikings and the rough and tumble New England Patriots. That's around the corner on KFAN.
Man.
The Minnesota Vikings take the field again this Saturday as the New England Patriots come to town. Pregame starts at 10 a.m. with kickoff just after noon. Catch all the preseason action on your audio home for the Minnesota Vikings, KFAN, and as always, on the free iHeartRadio app.
Brad Childres, former coach of the Minnesota Vikings, has joined the 9 to noon radio presentation from the exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch overlooking practice fields that are going to have New England Patriots and Minnesota Vikings taking part in joint practices. Brad, of course, coached the Vikings from 2006 through 2010, and he joins us now. Good to see you, my brother. How are you?
Great. Very good, Paul.
Excellent. It's a little different taking in joint practices from a perch with a camera in front of you, some microphones, than like your Eagles days, your Vikings days, Bears, everything, right?
Yeah, way easier from this standpoint. You know, not worried about who's going where, to what field, to what drill, who's doing good, who needs to be talked to.
Yeah. Hey, with it's I've seen a million joint practices, but like from a viewing standpoint, watching a joint practice, are there, as a head coach, you got to be concerned with all of it. But are there one or two individual drills that you always would watch back and like their offensive line versus your defensive line, one-on-ones, things like that?
Yeah, that's well said, Paul, because it all starts up front. So you're always worried about what's your line looking at offensively, and then defensively, who are they playing against? And then for me, it was always you kept close tabs on the quarterback.
Yeah,
all those guys around him had a lot to do with the success.
And what's interesting, and you guys had, when you were here, you had joints against Kansas City, right?
We did.
Yeah, down in Mankato.
Yeah.
And hearing you, was it Herm Edwards then?
Herm talked me into it. I said, Herman, I said, last year's joint practice turned out to be fight night was the lead story. He goes, no, Coach, we're not going to be the lead story on ESPN. You got your whistle, I got mine. We're not going to do that.
Yeah. That wasn't one of the years. Did you have tight end Hunter Goodwin?
Did not. No.
Okay. Well, they had when the Chiefs were in River Falls, and they had joints before you took over. I mean, Hunter Goodwin, former tight end, came in with a karate kick with cleats on Tony Richardson. If it had landed, I mean, Tony would have had to go to the hospital. It was so they get like that sometimes, right?
They get feisty. I've seen Steve Hutchinson in that practice with Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Some guy threw him down at the end of the play. And he comes back, and all the things Herm and I had talked about. I can see Steve shaking his head, and everybody's supposed to stay up, not be in a pile. He proceeded to take this defensive tackle on a drive block, like for a ride, and then launched him over the top of the pile, which is not exactly what you want. But
right.
It was like, oh.
Well, the atopic question outside of football that I had for you, and once I learned you'd be on the radio show, fist bump here, very nice of you to join, is your grandson, the goalie, out Orono way.
Yes.
My man, I forgot your name, but what's your name?
Brecken.
Say it again. Got it.
Brecken. He's West Tonka.
Right. Well, okay. How's he doing?
And his brother Aiden is playing basketball at West Tonka.
Yeah, I mean,
they're doing good. This is kind of a slow period.
Okay.
A lot of individual stuff.
Oh.
At the goal crease.
Really? I thought he just got back from a 2-week camp with Henrik Lundqvist. No?
No, but he's going to... No, but close.
He was at Marc-Andre Fleury's retirement party.
Close. He's going to Fargo this weekend to a tournament.
That's good. Good luck. What grade are you in again, bud?
I'm going into 8th.
Going into 8th, right on. So he's going to be one of those 8th graders that, plays up in high school and stuff like that.
In West Tonka, 8th graders go to high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, five years of high school.
Wow. So he's in the belly of the beast already.
Yes, both of them.
Yeah, got to be ready for the butterfly and the pad saves and the blocker save and all that, man. That's cool. And you really enjoy going to those games, don't you?
I do. Although it's a little bit cool in there, it's, you bundle up, there's no wind. But, yeah, it's fun to bounce around and watch him play.
The answer is yes to my question. I'm going to answer my question for you. Yes, the lifetime coaching of Brad Childres comes out somehow with the grandson, even though it's hockey. My question is how? How do you coach him? How do you lead him?
He'll tell you the first thing, get off the ground. Get up. You're a goalie.
Right.
You can't lay sprawled. You got to get up. And we used to always talk to football players about stay off the ground. You'll hear it 1,000 times out here in these joint practices. Stay up, stay off the ground.
Right. And with the joint practices, I don't know how far down the road you are on the Vikings and or Patriots rosters. Don't want to put you in any weird spots. But nevertheless, you coached the Williams Wall. So, I'm here almost every day, called the preseason game against the Texans, chat with people, like what you used to do and Spielman used to do and stuff like that. So the premise here being the defensive tackle depth and defensive line depth they have here with Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen being a couple of newbies. Mm-hmm. It's as deep, I think, this will be my 24th year calling Vikings football. It's as deep as I've ever seen. Now, I qualify that by saying, with all due respect to Javon Hargrave, who's really good.
Yeah.
I ain't putting anybody in Kevin Williams' class. I mean, that's a guy who should be in the Hall of Fame. The batted passes at the line of scrimmage, the flexibility. So there's that. But after that, like in 2009, you had one of the best teams anybody's ever seen play. You had the Williams Wall behind them, LaTroy Guion and Jimmy Kennedy. Now that's a 4-3.
Yeah.
They run a 3-4 here, so you're getting about 5, 6, 7 of them in there. This defensive tackle depth here, holy cow! What do you think?
There's nothing wrong with strength up the middle because it starts up front, and those guys are war daddies in there. So I know they'll be solid on defense and have a great push in the pass rush, but also be very difficult to run against.
Brad Childres, former Minnesota Vikings head coach, joins 9 to noon from the perch overlooking the joint practices. Just a few more here for Brad so he can get out there and enjoy some Covenant catch-ups. That really is one of the cool things, the farther along in careers you get when they do things like this. Hey, Todd Downing, how you been? Garrett Bradbury, how you been?
Yeah.
Mike Smith, great to get to know you a little bit last year. How you been?
Mike Smith was with us in Kansas City, so it's a very small fraternity. Just like Brendan Daly left here.
Wow.
And I'm losing his name. Chad O'Shea left here to go work for Bill at New England.
Yeah, and you and I haven't talked a ton, but when we do talk, we'll do a bunch of catch-ups and stuff. I don't think I've ever asked you this because I fully believe Kevin Stefanski would have made his own way somehow. Mm-hmm. But when you brought him here from Philadelphia, and he started with you in 2006, and I would do the weekly interviews with you on Wednesdays, and it's after practice. You got to get things squared away. So I generally would wait in this little room by your Winter Park office, the one that has all like the playbooks from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. And Kevin was right next to us, right next to me. And that's when I got to know Kevin. And I loved the NBA. And his father was general manager at that time, I think, of the New Jersey Nets. So we're starting to talk about that. And I would say to him, look, I'm not clomping on you here, right? I mean, you got work to do. That man with both of his hands and multitasked about as well as anybody I've ever seen while talking. But from then to where he is now, two-time Coach of the Year. Holy cow. What a wonderful, wonderful start for him, and what a great career.
A great career, and you alluded to it, having been around athletics with his dad, being around NBA players, you knew that there was not going to be any large eyes when I hired a 23-year-old to maybe have to walk a fine letter down and stick it on Jared Allen's seat.
Yeah.
That there was going to be some back and forth, but he wasn't going to be starstruck or anything like that. But what a great talented guy he was, and communication skills, because he talked with everybody in the building, and then he learned the football end of it in a Brett Favre quarterback room, and he coached every position. I mean, for Zim, he coached running backs, he's coached tight ends, he's coached quarterbacks.
Right.
So well-rounded, so smart.
Brad Childres, 9 to noon. Kevin O'Connell and the offense that he runs. And when you got here, it was branded as a West Coast offense, but there obviously are tentacles to everything. Mm-hmm. It's super complicated if you really get in the weeds for all offenses. But when you watch Kevin's, what do you see? I mean, is there like a way to brand it, a way to describe it?
I don't know that I'd brand it. Usually your system is a variation of everything that's been successful everywhere you're at, but he's very strong on the run game and the play action off the run game. And you can see that plays itself out in spades.
This is the producer, Eric Nordquist. We call him Mad Producer.
Pleasure to meet you.
Big fan of yours and fan of the years that you were here. And when we set up that you would be here, he got quite excited, and he'd like to chat with you.
Well, yeah, you guys were talking about the evolution of the defensive front. You had the Williams Wall. We saw what KO and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah did to bolster things there. Specifically on the offensive line, your time with the Vikings, I think about your time with the Eagles and Andy Reid, and you see the Eagles now in that offensive line that they've built. How difficult was it throughout your career in coaching in terms of building a unit like that worked so flawlessly at times?
Well, you got to get the right pieces. You got to get a little bit lucky. The Wilfs were happy to spend money on Steve Hutchinson, which kind of solidified our left side with Brian McKinney, and had Matt Burke, but followed by John Sullivan. And I mean, I guess you're part of where you used to be. Andy was a former offensive lineman, and he always believed in taking care of the offensive line, always looking there first. So I know it crushed him a couple years ago when they had issues and injuries, which you're always going to have. But you need those guys up front, both on the defensive side and the offense. There's no such thing as having too many good offensive linemen or too many good defensive linemen.
And the versatility, your time with Andy Reid, now my question's kind of gearing it towards the purple in particular. One thing that we've talked a lot about, 9 to noon, PA, myself, is kind of trying to figure out like what the identity is of an offense, what goes into that. And, Patrick Mahomes can be the identity of an Andy Reid-led offense. You have those, stratospheric-like players. And I'm looking at this team where Justin Jefferson, you can kind of consider him as budding stratospheric star and performer that he is. But the interesting change that we've seen with O'Connell, potentially, it's got to play it on the field, but making an identity change of sorts or adding the arsenal of getting tough and physical in the run game.
Yep.
How difficult can that be when we know this works all the time? And I got these bits on my play sheet here. I know they're going to work 9 out of 10 times, but the evolution of an offense within the frame of existing personnel, how difficult is that?
It is difficult, and I think Kevin, as far as being a quarterback, understands the value of having a very good run game. I know you play in a dome here, but somewhere you're going to have to exude your will on a defensive line and have a strong offensive line. I know that's constantly a work in progress, whether it was last year, what you've added this year.
Yeah.
And then particularly with a young quarterback, you can't get that guy hit. Because you can say, hey, stand in there, stand tall, don't move your feet. But you get hit in the back of the head a couple times, it's easier said than done.
Hey, great seeing you. Get on out there and say hello to people
Thanks,
before
Paul.
practice starts. Brecken, best of luck to you. Is this your brother right here?
So much.
God bless you, brother. You too, Dad. Appreciate you guys stopping by. When we return, we'll hear from Kevin O'Connell. As 9 to noon continues at Patriots-Vikings joint practices on KFAN.
Fan.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow could never come. I know it could end any minute, but I pray tomorrow comes. But it could be too late. I'm ready to smile, but for a long while wouldn't take much to get me down. I love my mother, dream in color. Most of all, I know my place. I can't wait until tomorrow.
Well, we can't wait until tomorrow because a lot of it's going to be like today, with the exception of us having past performances on a joint practice between the Vikings and the New England Patriots, which could mean defensive and offensive line one-on-one drills right in front of us. That would be, at times, Garrett Bradbury opposite Javon Hargrave. Or conversely, Ryan Kelly opposite Beefeater du jour for the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, coach of the New England Patriots, just concluded his press conference. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, he's going to be speaking shortly, previewing the Patriots and previewing these joint practices. And we can't wait for tomorrow because seeing what happens today is going to shape tomorrow. And like Nordo said earlier, tomorrow, Thursday, the second day of the joints, can get it can get a little more dicey than the first day because they have past performances. They've now said things to each other. They now have watched the film back separately. And position coaches have gotten into players being like, how are you going to let him do that to you? And then now all of a sudden this guy comes just full of fire the next day, and the Viking or the Patriots like, hey, it's a joint practice, bro. We're not playing in the Super Bowl. And it's hot, and then that's when people start to erupt. So today, generally the first day of the joint practices is the smoother of the two. The second day has a little rodeo to it sometimes if these players start messing around with each other. Special teams is a rodeo in the preseason in the first place. I mean, it's like bucking Broncos on the sideline trying to figure out who's supposed to be where on punt coverage and punt return and kick coverage and kick return, and you see players running in there late and stuff. There was a field goal or an extra point, I think, for the Vikings in the Texans game where your guy Jalen Redmond ran in very late. He got in there with about 5 seconds to go. They snapped it and everything worked. But those are things they're looking to avoid, not only in games but at joint practices. And that plays into the rodeo aspect of what takes place when you have 180 players looking to earn roster spots and starting clock, so to speak. And that all begins within 30 minutes.
Do you think he's walking away from us now, but we watched him kind of walk from this practice field to our left? Do you think on like WBZ, the Sports Hub, he might be out of your view, as he's now making his way down towards the uprights in the other field?
Zolak?
Do they ever do a bit like what to make of Drake? You think they ever do? I mean,
I see him.
I don't know if WBZ is as
he's a tall kid,
obsessed with the alliterative nature of things as we are.
Yeah.
But as he hops on that stationary there and he gets ready for this walkthrough, you think they ever do like what to make of Drake? He's a good looking kid.
Bradbury took his 56 and flipped it to a 65. So in other words, I've been with one team all my life.
Is that Garrett right there?
As 56, now I'm flipping to a different conference. Flipping to a different team. I'm just going to flip my number and make it 65. He's standing up right along this goal stripe.
Yep, I see him now.
You see him?
Oh, yeah.
Man, he definitely bulked up with his arms, probably strictly for this joint practice. The Patriots are coming out, man. They have cool uniforms. Even taking Patriot Pat. I mean, just Patriot Pat on the helmet in the three-point stance.
That's got to be an HOF logo, right?
I mean, honestly, can you name better? Like, if you want to go old school with the helmets, I mean, the Chargers. Oh, see, now I'm thinking jerseys because, like, when the Chargers, back in we call them PN days, pre-Nordo days.
Yeah.
When we had CBS, ABC, NBC, and PBS. You would get CBS would have what would be in Minnesota, the noon game. Washington, D.C., where I'm growing up, the 1 p.m. game. That's where I would watch Washington or Lawrence Taylor and the New York Giants. And the NFL Today would be Brent Musburger saying, "You are looking live at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota." And then the call would be Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire. Well, the later game at 3:15 here, 4 o'clock Washington, D.C., would be the AFC.
Oh, yeah.
And you would get Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen or Charlie Jones and somebody else. And the rare times you got a San Diego Chargers game with Dan Fouts, and they actually wore their baby blue jerseys.
Yeah, that's sweet.
You never got to see them.
No, that's
you just didn't get to see them on social media. You didn't get to see them much in magazines and stuff like that. So, seriously, it was a thing when the Cowboys would wear their navy blue.
The navy blue, yep.
The Chargers would wear their powder blue. The Dolphins would wear their teal, which they never wore. It was always white jerseys.
What about the Bucks and, like, the creamsicle?
Yes.
Did that matter?
And the St. Louis Cardinals would wear their cardinal red.
Oh, heck
because
yeah.
they always wore the white with the red bird on the helmet. But the Patriots, they would wear red jerseys with white pants or white jerseys with red or blue pants. But there was the helmet.
The helmet with the
helmet with Patriot Pat. That's who it is.
Yep.
Patriot Pat in a 3-point stance with like smoke coming out of his ears and or nose. I mean, the Raiders helmet, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the Raiders helmet of immortality, that's pretty cool.
That was so I grew up similarly. I mean, there were more channels in the 90s, but it was still like early game East Coast, late game West Coast. So I saw a ton of Raiders games. They're playing on like a freaking baseball field, it felt like the Raiders and the toughness and the aura of that. I got to be honest, the team you grew up watching, like, I think the Redskins logo is historic and iconic.
And when they would wear their burgundy, it never happened. It was always white jerseys, yellow pants or white pants, trimmed in burgundy and white or gold.
Yeah.
When they went to those burgundy jerseys, like the Cowboys would wear white and Washington would have to wear burgundy, the bomb, because you got to see them like once every 2 years.
Yeah, so, and I know there are other implications
that
regarding
Redskin logo
the logo.
was the bomb.
It's all like those are when you're a kid, you're growing up, you're looking at kind of stuff like that matters. The Redskins logo is going to stick in my mind forever, just like a badass logo. The Raiders, as you mentioned, the uniforms and all of that. The Patriots kind of stepped in it, though, when they changed. I forget, it was like mid-'90s or whenever it was. They changed, maybe when Bledsoe, when they went to the Super Bowl, was at 96.
Yeah.
You got Andre Rison running kicks back and stuff like that. They changed their logo, and it was ugly.
Behold, Travion Henderson running in front of you.
Oh, there we are.
I got to go rube on it, okay. Travion, that kick return. Hey, very well done. Very well done. Holy cow. Look how big Travion Henderson is. You kidding me?
Man, and he's a good player, and he's
And he
fast.
wears 32, which all cool running backs wear.
All cool
forever.
players wear 32. There's no doubt about that.
Damn, man.
And he was
the pen's just on him, too, right now, the Patriots Entertainment Network.
Up close and personal, courtesy of the pen. We appreciate it. Look at this widescreen TV that we have in front of us. The technology around here is unfreaking matched.
I know.
That camera costs as much as my car does, undoubtedly.
Oh, here's O'Connell. All right, Kevin O'Connell, 3-2 base.
Good morning, good afternoon. Very much looking forward to today, have been for a while. Going to be 2 great days of work. There's a reason why the Patriots are here. It starts with their head football coach and the organization itself. Got so much respect for Braves and our relationship over the years, and we had a really good experience in 2023 when he brought his football team here, and he was one of my first calls as soon as he got the job to talk about having them come here, and a lot of familiar faces, and very much looking forward to both of our teams getting 2 days of really, really good work. This is such a critical time for our team, and I know it is for theirs as well. Did want to update you guys. We're going to hold a couple guys out of these practices. Obviously, just an update on Justin. You've seen him starting to take part in walkthroughs. He's definitely progressing and doing a great job there. And we hope to kind of reassess early next week and see if we can maybe start building on that workload. But he's been fantastic through these couple weeks, and I expect that to continue. CJ Ham and Andrew Van Ginkel dealing with a couple different things health-wise. Want to let them settle down over the next week. I'll keep you guys updated on those. And then Harrison Smith dealing with an illness. Will not be here today. And then Levi Drake Rodriguez, a little ankle coming out of the game, small ankle thing, but we want to see what his availability looks like for the rest of the week on into the game Saturday. And then just before I take questions, have not had a chance to talk with you guys since we put out the statement on Rondale Moore. We wanted to make sure that we had the total eval done on that, and he was placed on injured reserve, crushed for Rondale. All he had done since he had gotten here is do everything right and was progressing. And as I told him, we don't always have answers and things don't always need to make sense to us, but I have no doubt that Rondale will be back better than ever and be ready to continue his football journey. In addition to that, waiving Brian B.A. yesterday. They're, one of a guy that I've become so close with, and a guy that's really had, a unique journey here through his time, and really became a guy that, I really felt personally invested in and still do, which is why, the timing of the move and a lot of things to give him the best possible opportunity to continue his career and, find the right place for him, and I know he'll do that. We did sign Cam Gill, outside linebacker, and Max Tooley brought back, so you'll see those guys out today and getting comfortable with everything, and from there I will take some questions.
More, was it ACL or what exactly was the?
I don't want to. It was a significant knee injury. That will keep him out for definitely the 2025 season.
Where are you at with receiver depth in the punt return spot right now?
Yeah, we're gonna. Obviously Rondale was part of that. That's why he was out there. Catching that punt that he did when he got hurt. We've got some other guys we want to make sure we get game reps for, in addition to the reps out here and through the next couple weeks. And we definitely want to. The punt return spot is up for grabs, and we've got some talented guys, maybe without the experience level that you would always want, but at the same time, the upside and the ability should be a really good competition. And with that third receiver spot, it's still the same thing. I think there's guys that have done some really good things all across the depth of that receiver room, and we'll continue to give guys opportunities to go make plays, and they're going to get some great work against a really good secondary the next couple days and on into the game on Saturday. These 2 days? Yeah, I think, we talked about coming out of Saturday as a checkpoint. I think this is another one. From a standpoint of getting 2 full days of a ton of reps for the ones. I love our plan for these 2 days. With today being a little bit more of the kind of field work and some third down, and we'll finish it off with our first 2 minute, and then tomorrow work down into the red zone and get another 2 minute to finish. But it's going to be extensive, a lot of situational, weighty down type stuff, which will be great to just see. And as I told our whole team, it still is practice, but at the same time we're playing against an opponent, and we want to see the ability to handle it all. Success, they make a play, can we move on to the next down and just get back to doing the simple things really consistently, doing your job that you can control every single snap. And I thought the way the offense procedurally played out for the first preseason game with really all new quarterbacks was I liked the way it ran start to finish. Limited penalties on Saturday, which I know I talked to you guys about. I think all that kind of stems from the composure and the ability for the quarterback to run the show, and he did a great job of that. And checkpoint 2, it should continue and just continue to see improvement, but also opportunities for learning moments that have been so critical throughout training camp and led us to where we are right now, which is feeling really good about where he's at and just continue on that training camp journey. Say that one more time.
Would you consider this week a checkpoint of sorts?
I think CD's different. I think he's really, the fact that we've gotten as much work for him this early in August, and even, I think his first reps, might even have came before we turned into August. So we're going to be, we want him to get out there. We want him to get some work, and CD's at the point in time in his career where I think, he's in anticipation for what's out ahead. But ultimately, I think you can leave it. It's all good. Ultimately, not on that one. Not on that one. Your headshot's on there as a guy to look out for. But other than that, but no, CD's kind of total trust in where he's at along the process and timeline-wise and all that. I think it's important that we assess it as we go with him, and the constant communication with Tyler and building up that workload, but also understanding we've got a lot of time until things get real.
Kevin, with Brad Childres, now he's back your third season as defensive coordinator. How important has his leadership been in the building and just building the program that you guys have?
Yeah, I think, for me, having somebody on the defensive side like Brian it's the starting point. It's not just that he's been a former head coach. It's not just that he has total command of that side. It's also the dynamic between him and I, how we're in, we build everything in total lockstep, from how we're going to do things to what our installs look like on both sides. He's a big picture thinker that is incredibly detailed and prepared every single day. And I feel so fortunate to have that type of person to lean on in that role, and beyond the scheme and the X's and O's and his ability to lead, teach, and motivate. To have that resource for me has been huge, and our dynamic, our relationship, it continues to build, and one I'm very fortunate for.
Devin, what makes the second and long situation so important for you? And also, what are your thoughts on setting pressure early against an offense versus more traditional training form of setting up big tackle?
Yeah, I think, I'm probably the wrong guy to ask, being the head coach of a Brian Flores-led defensive team, because first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh down, there could be pressure. The rhyme and reason is there, but we're trying to play our style of defense, in regards to that. But I think that period is always a good one to get. In addition to some of this, so there's different types, right? You're going to have your normal down work where, you're going to be calling some 1st and 10, staying on track plays where that's runs, play pass, keepers, screens, maybe some, purposeful drop back pass. But then when you're in that second down sequence, that can go one of two ways. That's a weighty down, in my opinion, to get back on track down. That you'd love to convert right there, a one-play conversion and get a new set of downs, but at the same time, there's a game within that game of trying to set up the best possible third down distance that you can. And defensively, it's a golden opportunity to try to activate a place to apply pressure to an offense in long yardage situations where your pass rush and coverage can marry together and potentially, have an impactful down, turn the football over, create as much uncomfortableness for the other side, and that's why I think it's a good thing to practice with an organized way. We do it a lot here, and Vraves was great about it. We're going to do it both days, and then ultimately you conclude that normal down work with the 2nd and 10, and then we play out the third downs, and then you come together, and unscripted call-it periods are those are really good for both sides because you don't know the D&Ds. You got to play the snap out. Each one is its own. You got to respond to the down and distance. You got to play on a play clock. You got to substitutions on and off from the sideline. It's as close as we'll get in those periods to getting these guys reps Saturday in the preseason game. That's why you can really look at it as an extension of the preseason game in a lot of ways, just under control environment where we can maximize the work and limit the potential of losing guys. So I think that's a great question, and it's purposeful why, Vraves and I spent a lot of time talking about how we put these days together. That's why we're doing it with each other, because, we can have those conversations and dialogue, and then it's reflected in the opportunities we can provide our players in these days.
Last two. Is Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. We thank you for the good times from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, but alas, the 10 of Fitz is not marooned at the 651 Carpus Plus Studios. It has arrived at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Brandon Molesky filling in for Common. He will carry you through the early stages. In fact, all the joint practice between noon and 3. We'll be back with you tomorrow. For Eric Nordquist and Kara Savage, thank you very much for listening to 9 to noon, and have a wonderful day.
Temporary layoffs. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Good times. Hanging in a job. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.